What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, sports journalist here at Ballard Sports Media. Hey, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Love and appreciate all the love and support that I've gotten over the years on this channel. Love and appreciate all of you watching. Let's dive into this one. Tennessee Vols 2025. Now, they had a historic season in program history a couple years ago, going back to 2022. They've been on an uphill climb really since then. If anything, they haven't declined too much under Josh Heupel. I know people might poke fun at Tennessee because of the whole 1998 thing and having an average of 3 or 4 losses or even worse than that sometimes. But honestly, with NICO Iamaleava at quarterback and some of the receivers that they put in the NFL lately and had over the years, and Squirrel White, Jalen Hyatt, and all these guys, they've really been on the upper side of the SEC, more so the bottom. The only thing they haven't been able to do is get over the hump of beating teams like Georgia, being consistent with beating Alabama and Florida, which they've beaten Alabama 2 of the last 3 years. And I guess you could say the same about Florida. Did they beat them last year? Let me see. They did in overtime. Um, but for a while, it was hard for Tennessee to do stuff like that. It really was. It was hard for them to get over that hump and to catapult themselves to a higher tier in the SEC. So, and again, I'm not saying all this like that to say that they're upper tier, tier one at the top. They're trying to work their way up to that. I don't want to say they're not close. I don't want to say they're there yet. I think they're tier two right now, maybe tier three. I think they're trying to compete and get to an SEC title at this point. I think the first couple years under Josh Heupel, it was like, okay, we put the Pruitt stuff behind us. Let's move forward and let's just try to get back to playing good football. Now they're playing good football, and now it's like, okay, we want more. I think that's Tennessee for you, especially going into 2025 this year. They got the spring game on April 12th. We'll know more about these teams that we're previewing after we watch some spring games. Uh, Other than that, you really don't know too much about some of these teams, but like Tennessee, obviously returning um, Nico Iamaleava at quarterback, and I think that's where it really starts. I would like to say that it starts with his leadership, and I think it has to. You got some guys on the defensive side, at least according to the official roster that they have right now. Jermon McCoy comes back, a transfer a couple years ago from Oregon State. He's from Texas. He comes in at DB as a junior. See what other names I can recognize. I've heard, obviously, talking with some Vols on here like TriStar or whoever, Mike Matthews at wide receiver. He said keep an eye on him. So there's a couple different names. Chris Brazel, the second. I mean, I could go down the list. There's a lot of guys out there that they have. The key factor for Tennessee this year, though, isn't going to be the offense. I think it's going to be the defense. I think everyone wants to watch that. Why do I say that? Because even in 2022, when they knocked off Alabama and everything, they still struggled defensively mightily. And that's what kind of killed them, that they weren't able to beat a team like Georgia, who I don't think they've actually beaten since 2016, almost 10 years ago. Uh, but the defense has been a question mark, but I've also personally have seen when I watch Tennessee year in and year out these last couple years, I've seen it get better. I really have. It's just a little inconsistent at times, and you're always wondering these last few years, and I think going forward, is it going to be good enough for competition? Where do we stand with that? So that's my assessment on Tennessee. at least defensively. I think the question is, are they going to be good enough to compete? We know about the offense, but not a lot of people know about the guys on defense and everything. And I'm just going to be honest, I don't really know too much about them on defense either. So now they do have Tim Banks at defensive coordinator. I think he's done a great job so far. Um, Josh Heupel, obviously, at head coach. It's, I mean, they have guys that can coach this team up, especially on offense, and they have a lot of good talent, even really on both sides of the ball that are worthy to play in the NFL. They have that. So it's just a matter for Tennessee of putting it on the field now so that way you can better prepare for the NFL if you're these young kids. And honestly, Tennessee being in the playoffs last year, I thought was much deserved, number 1, but it showed that they can have that type of season. Now they got beat by Ohio State, who beat everybody they played in the playoffs, obviously winning the title. But that being said, Tennessee in that game didn't look like they belonged. I mean, they got beat. They had some good plays here or there. I don't know if it was nerves, playoff inexperience, or if it was just straight up Ohio State being Ohio State. But we put that behind us and we look to 2025. And I think Tennessee is definitely going to be a contender this year for not only the SEC, but the college football playoffs. And you could go ahead and turn this off now. I think they might contend for a national title. I'm not saying they're going to make it there, but I think the talent's there that you could look at them and say they're a national brand, at least for 2025. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at the schedule for 2025. That's what we came to break down here. And that's where it's going to start if they do want to win a title or, at least make a run at it. Syracuse is your opener Aflac kickoff game. I guess they changed that from Chick-fil-A. But that's going to be at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. So we'll come back to some of these games. ETSU should be no problem. Georgia, you might think you chalk that up as an L right now at the moment, but that could be a competitive rivalry game. That's very traditional between the two teams. Going back to the early 1900s, maybe even the late 1800s. They played a long time, uh, at least to my knowledge. UAB, the Blazers, my future alma mater. You'll destroy them, man. I'm sorry. I wish we could get an upset there, but Tennessee should have no problem. At Mississippi State should be no problem, but again, teams we haven't looked at yet for Mississippi State, but they really have been on the downside of the SEC for quite some time now. These last few years. Off week on October 4th. Arkansas, you go to Alabama, which is tough. You haven't won there since 05, 03, something like that. It's been a while. I know you've beat them in recent years, but that's at home. At Kentucky, Oklahoma, bye week. New Mexico State should be no problem. At Florida and Vanderbilt. Now, I've given you the Atmos record predictions here. I didn't make a banner saying what the losses would be, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you 10-2 because I do think they will be competing for the playoffs. The losses, and this all depends on the rivalry games. That's where they struggle, not with Vandy. Now, Vandy could be tricky because of the season they had last year and what Clark Lee's doing. That could be a tricky game, but I think they're still miles ahead of Vanderbilt. But I look at the games of Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. You have to at least try to win 2 out of 3 of those games this year. I personally think. I I I think you get 1. But I don't think I know you get Georgia at home early in the season, like right there in week 3. And it's doable. Like, Georgia fans, just a minute, like, it's doable, but Georgia always finds a way to win that game because of their defense, and the defense is just gonna be too strong for NICO. I personally believe that. Now, is it gonna be competitive and close? Probably so. Could Georgia pull away? Yes. Could Tennessee upset? They absolutely could. But, again, it's one of those games that I don't wanna pick Tennessee in until I've seen them do it. And I know, "Oh, well, you probably saw them do it in 2016," but we haven't seen it since then. That's fair. That is fair. Mississippi State should be no problem. It is on the road in the SEC. Who knows what that time slot's gonna be and everything. It could be a night game, and that's always tough. But Mississippi State still trying to build themselves up. Arkansas, love Sam Pittman, but you get them at home. That was an interesting game last year, though. I will give you that. That was a close game last year in Fayetteville. But I think at home, even if it's close, Tennessee should win that game. Could they beat Alabama this year in Tuscaloosa? They could, but history has shown that Alabama's good at revenge games. Now, this is a little different because you have a second-year coach in Kalen DeBoer, and it's not Nick Saban's field anymore. With the Crimson Tide, it's Kalen DeBoer's show now. It's uh, it's going to be interesting. Trap games, Kentucky after a road trip to Tuscaloosa. You got to go to Kentucky. I'm not very high on them this next year. Don't overlook this game for this next one with Oklahoma. I am high on Oklahoma possibly being a really good team in the SEC this year, a little bit better at least than what they were last year. Thought they finished the season pretty well. They returned some guys. Now Jackson Arnold up and went to Auburn, but they got that Michael Hawkins, I believe, still. So at quarterback, we'll look at them a different day. That could be a loss, but when in doubt, I usually take the home team here. Give me Tennessee. So, again, your 2 losses for me personally, I'm saying Georgia and I'm saying Alabama. You could also lose to Florida, go 9-3. You could also lose to Oklahoma. I'm saying a floor of 8-4, depending on that Oklahoma game and Florida. Other than that, like, I think Tennessee's set up pretty well. I like it. I like the schedule for them. I like what they bring back. I love what Josh Heupel's building. Just to sum it all up, they're gonna have a great season, not one that you can hang your head on. I think the goal should be to go 10-2 or better to make the CFP again and then catapult yourself to win that first round game and get even further. One step at a time every single year if you're Tennessee. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up. God bless, and we'll see you next time here at BSM. Good luck, Tennessee.